Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is Gazi Mahatrafi. And for your information, previously, on a few days later, I've already delivered some material about descriptive text. But today, I will deliver some material about narrative text. And because this is an English class, so I will try to explain in English, but to avoiding some miscommunication and to make sure that all of the audience can get what the material is. So I will try to explain in a both way on the both language. The first language is English language, and the second language is Bahasa Indonesia. Okay, directly, what is a narrative text? Maybe anyone can explain. Okay, the definition of narrative text. The definition of narrative text, in a simple way, is an imaginative story to entertain people. Perhaps you need to know that the narrative text in the writing and composition lecture is usually called narration, which is of type of text in literary language. So usually the narrative text contains good story of fiction, non-fiction stories, animal story or fable, folk tales, fairy tales, myths, legend, etc. In a simple words, everything about the story is included in a narrative text. Oke, dalam bahasa Indonesia, definisi dari teks naratif atau narrative text secara sederhana, yakni definisi dari teks naratif adalah cerita imajinatif untuk yang bertujuan untuk menghibur seseorang. Okay, next. The next is generic structure of narrative text. Actually, there are four generic structure, but the last one is optional, so it's not must occur. So you can use it or enhance it, or you can remove it. It doesn't really matter. I will explain it later about the last generic structure. But previously, let us start with in order. The first generic structure of narrative text is orientation. Orientation is about the opening paragraph where the character of story introduced. So the orientation is about introducing some character, the settings and the time. And the second is complication. Complication is where the problem in the story is developed. In the complication, the story is begin, but it's only until the climax, not until the story is solved. And the third is resolution. Resolution is where the problem story is solved. As what I mentioned before, as what I have already mentioned before, in complication, if in complication is the story is developed, but in the resolution, resolution is part of the story, which is where the problem in the story is solved. So resolution is part of the story is done. And the last is coda or reorientation. This is the generic structure that what I say is optional. Basically, coda or reorientation has a function to give a lesson from the story, such as moral value and etc. Oke, dalam bahasa Indonesianya, generic structure dari teks naratif sebenarnya terdiri dari 4, akan tetapi bagian terakhir dari generic structure teks naratif adalah optional. Jadi Anda bisa menambahkan atau Anda bisa menangguhkan, dalam artian tidak mencantumkan ini dalam teks naratif Anda. Ya, langsung saja yang pertama adalah orientation. Orientation adalah bagian di mana adalah bagaimana paragraf pembuka dari pengenalan karakter dan pengenalan cerita. Kemudian yang kedua adalah complication. Complication adalah di mana permasalahan itu mulai muncul. Dan kemudian yang ketiga adalah resolution. Resolution adalah jika tadi complication adalah masalah yang muncul, maka di resolution ini adalah di mana ketika problematika dalam cerita tersebut mulai terselesaikan hingga selesai. Kemudian yang terakhir yang telah saya mention adalah optional, yakni adalah coda dan reorientation. Pada dasarnya coda atau reorientation ini memiliki tujuan sebagai pesan pembelajaran dari cerita tersebut atau amanat dari cerita tersebut. Okay, next. Okay, the next is language feature. There are 6 language feature. They are as follow: using past tense, adverb of time, time conjunction, specific character, action verb, direct speech. I will explain. In narrative text, we have to using a past tense such as killed, drunk, or drove, etc. And the adverb of time that we use is like once upon a time, one day, etc. And the time conjunction that we use are as follow: when, then, suddenly, etc. And specific character is a character that's supposed to be mentioned as a specific. So we cannot mention a character that is general, such as a character that have more than one meaning, such as Indonesian. There are a lot of Indonesian people, so we cannot tell it Indonesian in a narrative text. So the example of specific character here is like Cinderella, Snow White, Aladdin, etc. And then the fifth is action verb. Action verb is like a verb that describe an action, like a kill, a dog, walk, etc. And the last is a direct speech. Direct speech is a speech that directly mention as what the character say. For example, like you can see on the screen, Snow White said, where is my cursor? Snow White said, "My name is Snow White." So the word inside of this quotation is direct speech. And for direct speech, we have to use a present tense. And in a narrative text, we have to using direct speech because we cannot do using indirect speech. Oke, I will try bahasa. Dalam bahasa Indonesianya, language feature dalam teks naratif, yakni yang pertama menggunakan tenses berbentuk past tense seperti killed, drunk, dan lain-lain. Kemudian adverb of time menggunakan seperti once upon a time, pada suatu waktu, dan one day, pada suatu hari, dan lain-lain. Kemudian time conjunction seperti konjungsi waktu seperti when, ketika, then, setelah itu, suddenly, tiba-tiba, dan lain-lain. Kemudian specific karakter merupakan karakter yang spesifik seperti Cinderella, Snow White, Aladdin, dan lain-lain. Kemudian action verb atau kata kerja bentuk aksi seperti kill membunuh, dig menggali, walk berjalan, dan lain-lain. Kemudian direct speech atau kata langsung. Seperti pada contoh, di sini Snow White mengatakan, Snow White said, "My name is Snow White." Snow White berkata, "Nama saya Snow White." Pada kata "My name is Snow White" adalah direct speech dari apa yang dikatakan Snow White. Dalam direct speech kita menggunakan tenses berbentuk present tense. Ini khusus untuk direct speech. Dan di luar direct speech kita menggunakan past tense seperti pada yang saya tunjukkan di kursor. Okay, next. The next is type of narrative text. The type of narrative text, there are 5 kind of narrative text. The first is fable, and the second is myth, the third is a fairy tale, the fourth is a legend, and the fifth is science fiction. First, fable. Fable is a story about an animal that acts like a human to create a message. Maybe the example of fable, I can give an example. Maybe you have ever hear about story of a turtle and hare, or a turtle and a rabbit. It's a story that turtle, which is cannot move so fast, can beat up the hare or the rabbit. And the second is the myth. Myth, it is a traditional or legendary story, usually concerning some being or hero, or even with or without determinate basis of a fact or a natural explanation. Okay, for the example for the myths, in Indonesia we have a story myth of Gatot Kaca, Bandung Bondowoso, and maybe many others. And the third is of fairy tales. Fairy tales is typically features such as folkloric characters as fairies, goblin, elves, etc., and usually tell about a magic or enchantments. For the example of fairy tales in bahasa in Indonesia, maybe I can mention some story of Ibu Peri. Yeah, it's kind of a fairy tale. And the fourth is a legend. A legend is narrative of human action that are perceived both teller and listener to take place within a human history. Legend is like in bahasa is like a legenda in bahasa, and in English is legend. And the example of a legend in Indonesia is like Danau Toba is like a Toba Lake in English. You can search it for the example of the legend. And the fifth is a science fiction. Science fiction is based upon some imagined development of science. A science fiction is, as far as is a new of narrative text that appears on nowadays. And the example of a science fiction is like a story of Armageddon, which is story of apocalypse. And the next is example. This is the example of narrative text, which has a type of a fable, which is story of a story of animal that acts like a human. Okay, hopefully while I reading a lot, you can read it the text. So So we can improve your pronunciation. Okay, let's start. The ant and the dove. One hot day, an ant was seeking for some water. After walking around for a moment, she came to a spring. To reach spring, she had to climb up a blade for grass. While making her way up, she slippery fell unintentionally into water. She could have sung if a dove up nearby there had not seen her. Seeing that the ant was in trouble, the dove quickly put off a leaf from the tree and dropped it immediately into the water near the struggling ant. Then the ant moved towards the leaf and climbed up there. Soon it carried herself safely to dry ground. Not long after that, there was a hunter nearby who was throwing out his net towards the dove, hoping to trap it in this way. Guessing what he should do, the ant quickly beat him on the feet. Feeling the pain, the hunter dropped his net and the dove flew away quickly from the net. Okay, for the morality of this story is one good turn deserves another. Okay, I think that's all of my lecture. Thanks for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.